Greetings. Today I'm working on few little projects. Trying to, for one thing, do some preparations for Yule. We're down to just a couple weeks left before Yule and Christmas following. And this year, big doings. Some big goings on here around that time of the year, both with friends and with family. So we're going to be doing some decorating, we're going to be doing some preparation. And one of the things that I normally do this time of the year is work with citrus. And particularly oranges. Because those of you who have been following my channel know that we have citrus trees on our property. We have a Frankenstein lemon / grapefruit tree in the chicken yard, which has been there from the time before we ever moved in, over 40 years ago. Which is it's grapefruit. The grapefruit part, the lemon side is has a good many lemons on them, but not that many ripe ones. And the grapefruit has a lot of grapefruit, but they're not ripe yet either. They don't traditionally they're ripe around January. The grapefruits have a very short harvesting, maybe 2 short harvestings in the year, while the lemon tends to have lemons on it all year round. But not too long ago, we took a big harvest off of that lemon tree, so we're kind of down a little bit. I have lemons here and there. I have enough for cooking, but not enough to do too much with. The orange trees, my lime tree, I have a little lime tree which we planted, the lime tree, and it's doing pretty good. It has some limes on it. But the orange trees, typically, we used to have 2 orange trees. We have one now. We've taken one out. We had a Navel and a Valencia. And since we moved in here over 40 years ago, those trees particularly had never been without oranges. There's always oranges. The thing about an orange tree is it will hold an orange for a really long time. Where grapefruit, once the fruit is ripe, if you don't pick it, it's going to fall on the ground. It'll just let go of the fruit, and then you can gather up the fruit. If you gather it right away, you can use it before it rots. You know, sitting in the ground, it will rot really quickly. But if you get it up right away and wash it real well, it's still good. But the orange trees typically hold oranges all the time. We had a massive orange harvest at the end of last winter. And we had, just bushels of oranges. I took so many oranges off the tree. So now our tree is doesn't have the bounty on it that it normally has. I managed to pick, my husband actually managed to pick quite a large bowl of oranges, but this is basically all that's on there that is really ripe. There's a lot of other ones that are coming. Just like everything else in the garden, they come, not one season is like the next. They're unique to themselves. And that's what we're finding. Because I remember last year I had so much citrus that I made some marmalade out of, it was a 3 citrus marmalade. It was orange, grapefruit, and lemon, and it's delicious. I still have a lot of jars of that, which I'm glad, because I'm not going to be making it for this Christmas. I still have some from that. But what do I do with all the oranges? Well, I have showed you in the past that I make a vinegar. I make a citrus vinegar, and here's a bottle that was decanted. This is from October of 2020, which is so good. And you can see maybe there's a mother in the bottom. It's developed a mother, which these vinegars, fruit vinegars, don't normally develop a mother as readily as some of the other vinegars, but this did. This is a beautiful mother. And what do I do with this vinegar? I will use it in flavoring, as any vinegar, as a flavor for vinaigrette or whatever, but I will also use it for cleaning. One of the things we can use it for is cleaning. We make our normal cleaning solution is just regular white vinegar with water and a little bit of a mild dish soap. We put in there just a couple drops. It's basically just vinegar and water, and we use that to clean everything, even the woman who cleans for us uses it to clean. She likes that as a solution. It's very good. But adding orange vinegar to the solution makes the cleaning solution have more antibacterial properties. The orange is something in the orange. So it's really, really good for using around, like in the kitchen, on the counters, in the kitchen sink, or in the bathroom, like on the counter or the sink in the bathroom, even on the toilet, or in the shower. It's really good for any place where you might be a little more concerned about germs. I'm not spraying this on my piano because I do use the other on my piano, but this is perfectly good for that. But anyway, that's not what this is about. This video is really not about making vinegars or making anything like that, which I will link. Again, I said I will link to the vinegar making video down below, so those are that you're interested. But what I want to do this time is I want to use what I have traditionally now begun to do at Yule, is to use the orange slices, the dehydrated orange slices, as a decoration. And you will see when they dry, the slices when they dry, the light shines through them, and they're beautiful to hang in a window or somewhere, or they reflect the light from the fireplace. It's almost like a little stained glass window, which I think is so lovely. Plus they smell beautiful, right? They smell beautiful. I use it on the tree. I will make garlands of it and put it on the mantle, on the fireplace. I will, last year I even I sent orange slices as gifts to people that I wasn't, with Christmas card, those people that I wasn't able to see in person last year, which was my way of celebrating with them long distance. And if I can, I'm going to try to put in just a little picture here, post a picture of last year. It was just my husband and I at Yule, of course, so and Christmas. So we had just a little tabletop tree on our kitchen table, and the decorations were 100% having to do with the sun, having to do with return of the light. Yule on the 21st of December in the northern hemisphere is the night of the winter solstice, when the sun, when the days are the darkest day. It is the longest night of the year. After which, again on the 22nd, the sun begins its return to the earth. They say return to the earth. It hasn't really left, but we have more increasing daylight, more time spent in the light hours than dark than from the day before. It increases a little bit each day. Will continue to increase each day up until the time of the at the spring equinox at Ostara. We will have equal light and dark. Okay. This is not something new. This is something that's been done for centuries, for thousands of years, really, by all civilizations. Just nearly every civilization in the world pretty much celebrated the sun. I've mentioned that before, because of the importance of the light and the warmth that the sun brings to the earth. Without it, we can't exist. The celebrations to mark the return of the sun were done by the Norse people, the Germanic tribes, the Romans, even the Egyptians, the ancient Egyptians. I think they celebrated the daily return of the sun god Ra as a part of their daily celebration. They were so devoted to that, the return of the light every day. The ancient Celts have the legend that takes place every solstice at the winter or the summer solstice of the battle between the Oak King and the Holly King during the winter. And the Holly King is aging. He's at his peak. It's the time we celebrate the Holly King. But the Oak King, there's a battle. The Oak King, the young Oak King, comes in, defeats the Holly King, and therefore that Oak King is representative of the light coming back in the new year. And that's then the Oak King reigns again until the summer solstice, when the battle takes place again and the Holly King is victors at that time. It's a lovely little legend, and I actually have candle holders on my altar. That the guide candle on my altar has the Holly King on one side, and it has the Oak King on the other side. Carved, the figures carved into the candle, which is really lovely, one of our favorite things. So anyway, welcoming the light, of course, is a very important part to us. We will do a Yule log this year, of course, and I will be sure to, I'm going to make a video, maybe next week that will come up. I will show you how we do a Yule log and talk to you about the traditions that my husband and I use with the Yule log. But, you know, a lot of people do different things with it. As many people, as a matter of fact, a lot of Christians particularly have a Yule log, which is a cake that they use to eat, and that's fine. But this Yule log that I'm talking about is not a cake. It's an actual log. It's an actual log that is going to be burned. Okay. So anyway, we'll talk about that in another week. This week is just, we're going to dedicate ourselves to just the return of the light, and specifically the return of the light. And for me to celebrate that, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to be dehydrating oranges from my tree. I want to point out, first of all, that my oranges are 100% organic. We do not put any spray or anything on our trees ever. We barely feed the trees, to be honest. And so I have some oranges that while they were on the tree, there's some places on the oranges that's just not pretty. Like out here, I'll show you. This is a really ugly. There's no rot. It's just discolored, and it's not pretty. But there are some parts on the orange that are perfectly fine. When I'm cutting for things like, these are for juicing, you wouldn't notice this at all, of course. But then other ones are pretty lovely. Like the whole orange is really lovely. So I'm going to start with the pretty ones first and see what I can get. My husband just went out and just picked them all that were ripe at all, that had a nice color. I'm going to show you how I slice them. And then I'm going to tell you what I do with what I can do with the rest of the bits. Okay. So I just want to I'm going to slice off the bottom firstly. Okay. And I want to have, oh, it smells so good. I want to do it about a 1/4 inch. About a 1/4 inch slices. And I want to try to get them about as even as I possibly can get them. Okay, straight. I'm not really good at this, so bear with me. Okay, and this is what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for a slice, a nice slice. That's a little crooked. I'm going to just get some of the orange, the excess juice out of the orange, so it's not too wet, so it dries quicker. Okay. And I'm just going to slice and leave the seeds. The seeds, of course, will fall out as the orange dries, but that's fine. And I'm just going to lay them out on my dehydrator tray. Leaving space, taking care to leave some space between. Now when we get down to this, when we get down to these little bits at the end, that's really not going to do me any good for this, but I'm going to keep it because that's still a very beautiful peel, and I'm going to show you what I do with that when I'm done slicing. So, like I said, I got this many out of one orange. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got 6 slices out of that one orange. So it's pretty, I'm not going to need all of these oranges, so I'm really going to take my time and look for the prettiest ones. I'm also looking for ones that have the thicker, a little bit of thicker skin. These are supposed to be Valencia oranges, but you know, it was beside a navel orange for so many years. I'm not sure that they did not share any kind of relations with each other. But because some of them, these are pretty all thick, but some of them are thinner, a little bit thinner skinned. And the thicker skin is better because it helps keep the color. So I'm going to, again, I think this is all really pretty, so I'm going to cut off the end. And I'm going to put the end just aside, and I'm going to continue cutting about 1/4 inch slices. But you see, I'm very crooked. I'm really bad at this. Put these on the towel. I don't know, I'm using a serrated knife. I'm not positive that that's the best knife, but it helps me grip the orange. Some of these are going to be quite large. Now, it's possible you do not need to use a dehydrator. You don't, first of all, have to grow your own oranges to do this. You can use store-bought oranges. And you can, we're not right now going to eat these, but of course if you are going to eat them and they are, eat the peel eventually, or eat these eventually, you want to make sure that they're very, very clean. So you want to wash them really well. I have nothing on mine. Some oranges, when you get them at the store, have wax coating. So that might interfere a little bit. So, you just want to wash that off really well. Okay. Again, this is beautiful peel, but I can't cut another ring out of that, so that's going in my bowl, and I'll deal with that later. So I'm just going to keep cutting these up as I fill the tray. I'm going to get one more. So I'm going to cut this bad part off first, because there's nothing pretty about that. But then from here on up, it's really pretty. So I'm going to continue to cut slices, taking some of that juice, laying them on my tray. I'm trying to leave space. I don't want to crowd. I don't want to crowd these because, there we go. Okay, so there you go. That's ready for the dehydrator. Now I was saying you can do these in the oven at the very low temperature, perhaps like, I don't know what, I want to say like maybe 170, however low your oven goes. If you have a very dry, if you live in a very dry climate, of course you could just do it out where you are, but for the most part I would say use your oven and use the dehydrator. And you would just want to go slowly. It's going to take you maybe 8 to 12 hours, depending on how thick your oranges are, how juicy they are. It might take you as low as 4 hours. But what I'm going to do is, when I go to put these in the dehydrator, I'm going to turn them over every once in a while to make sure they dry evenly. Okay, so I'm going to continue on with this, and then I will be back to show you what I'm going to do with the bottoms. Okay, I have my dehydrator full. I have 4 full trays of really lovely orange sizes that I have set on, I think I have it set on 125 degrees on the dehydrator. Again, if you're going to do it in the oven, you could do it on a low, slow oven. I'm going to keep a watch after a couple hours. I'm going to check it every couple hours and turn them as needed. Because I'm not a machine, some of the slices are thicker than others, so I'm going to take special care as things are dry to remove them. I don't want to over dry anything. Okay, so now what you see in front of me is a bowl of bits. And some of the bits are obviously, they're parts I did not use. This is obviously not a good place on this orange, but if we turn it around, we can see some really beautiful peel on this side. So what I want to do at this point is I want to remove the pulp and preserve this part of the peel, because I'm going to save that for some kind of a use. Now, if you've seen the videos that I've linked to here on how to make vinegar, you will notice that this is perfect, what I have left over in this bowl, is perfect to use to make orange vinegar. But as I showed you in the beginning of this video, I have a full bottle of vinegar. I have a half a bottle of orange cleaner, and I have an orange tree in my yard that is full of oranges that are not quite ripe yet. So I'm going to have plenty of opportunity to make vinegar in the future. So what I want to do with this is I want to take and preserve some of this beautiful peel rather than throw it away. And but first I have to separate for another use. Okay, so first I have to separate it from let's see, I might be able to slice it. I want to get the pulp. I want to get the orange pulp removed from the peel. This is rather messy because these oranges are very, very ripe. But if I put it in this little pan, I can pretty much scrape that, the pulp out of it. And the little bit of pith that is left is really not going to affect me too much because it's not terribly thick. I can scrape some of it away. But now, you know you could candy this peel. If you've ever done anything like that, which I do. If I were going to candy it, I would let this dry a little bit and then I would really scrape this pith, the white part, out of there. I don't like the pith in candied peel. I think it's kind of bitter. But in this kind of peel, what I'm going to use it for this time, a little bit won't hurt anything. But I could just take the side of my knife. There we go. I could get some of it out. And that's good. Oh, that's going to come out nice. That'll be nice. Okay. And that's what I'm left with. Just a little tiny bit of the pith and this beautiful peel. And I'm going to put that aside. And I'm going to continue to do this to all of the bits that I want to save. All of these little bits. Because these are beautiful. If you're like me, you come across a recipe from time to time that asks for orange zest or lemon zest or lime zest, and you go and buy it. Well, I wouldn't buy one. I would pick a whole fruit off my tree, but you would go to the store and you would buy a lemon and you would zest it, or you would buy an orange and zest it, or a lime and zest it, and then often you're left with the fruit behind and you go, well, what am I going to do with this? Well, this is why I keep these bits of peel that I don't want to use for anything else, because this, I can dehydrate these bits and then I can grate them up later to use them for zest, or I can simply take these dried bits when they come out and keep them in a jar, which is what I intend to do. And then when I need something for a recipe, I can just take this and put it in a little, like a spice grinder or a blender, even a food processor, and powder and make it like a powder out of it. Make it, grind it up small, which should be like a zest or a powder. Okay, but look at this beautiful. I'm not going to waste this, so I'm going to go ahead and dig this out of here the best I can. And when my dehydrator is finished doing the slices, then these little bits are going to go in on tray, and I'm going to dehydrate them the same way. And then when they're done, I'm going to just store them in a jar, a nice jar, making sure they're completely dry first. And then I'll pull out what I need for powder or for zest, okay? And the orange powder is really wonderful. It's a flavoring. You can put it in anything. You can put it in sauces or vinaigrettes or batter if you're making muffins or making cake batter or just frosting. Anything you want a little bit of an orange flavor. The powder is wonderful. Just put some of the powder, like you would the zest. But people use it in ice cream. It's used in a lot of things. Really, use your imagination, whatever you think. And I think it kind of works easier if I slice it up a little bit. And also, I don't want huge pieces of zest in my jar. I think small is maybe better. But man, do not underestimate the amount of juice that comes out of one of these oranges. These are beautiful. Valencia oranges are known for one of the best juicing oranges there is. Well, navel people like navel oranges because of convenience. We got rid of our navel orange tree. We did have it for many, many years. Probably 35 years before we got rid of it. It just was turning into a messy, kind of invasive tree, and it didn't have the crop on it. The Valencia oranges always had a big crop. And we found that the Valencia oranges are just really our favorite snacking orange too. We eat these all the time. My husband and I will split an orange and have that for lunch, just like we will split an apple. That's sort of our practice. I don't know why we don't eat a whole one, but we just like to split one. And like again, I'm not trying to get all of this pith. Some people don't remove the pith at all. I just like to remove a little bit of it. Now these little bits, when they're dried, also store them in a jar, are going to be delicious if you want to throw one in a cup of tea or a pot of tea when you're brewing some tea. Whether you're brewing black tea or you're brewing any kind of an herbal tea or green tea or whatever you like. Imagine it would work in coffee. Anything you would like a little bit of a hint of orange flavoring in. These are wonderful for that. I particularly like it in tea in the wintertime, where in the summer, I drink tea all year long, but in the summer I tend to like it either plain or with maybe a little bit of mint in it, sometimes if it's iced tea. But hot tea I just like plain. But in the winter, sometimes I like a little something in my tea. And I do like a little slice of orange in there sometimes. It's really nice. Okay, so that's it. See, I left a lot of it there, but it's not quite as thick. And look at the beautiful peel. Okay, I had hoped to show you some of the orange slices after they were dry, so you could see what you're aiming for when you know to take them out. Some of them are sort of ready. They could come out now. It's possible to let them complete drying in the room, or complete drying like if you hang them on a tray or on on a garland or something, they will continue to dry. But in my case, I can't do that because I don't get a freeze here. We're under attack by pests all the time. There's no freeze. And what I mean by that is fruit flies. As soon as the very second I started cutting into oranges, the fruit flies came from wherever they are. And they came to check out my fruit. So we've had a big battle with fruit flies this year. We've done all kinds of things. We treat the drains constantly. We do everything to try to keep them. We have a little infrared thing running at night that will capture them. So we do a lot of things to try to control the population, but we don't get the cold weather really that helps. It might slow it down, but it doesn't do it. But anyway, I wanted to show you what I have, because this is going to have to go in too. I have the, all of my peel is pretty much cleaned. The pith is pretty much removed. It's very thin. And like I said before, to make a powder particularly, a lot of people say, you can leave pith in there. It's not going to really make it bitter. But I like to clean as much of it off as I can. It's a habit because I do candy peel a lot. And when I candy peel, I do try to remove as much of it as I can. Because I don't really want any of that bitter taste, even though there's not a lot. But anyway, you see that I even end up with some little teeny pieces. And I end up some larger pieces. Some of the now, of course, they're going to reduce in size as they dry them. But I want them small. I want to be able to keep them in a jar. I want to be able to add them to a cup of tea or a pot of tea, or you know, just use a small amount of the zest for something. So it's much more manageable for me to use smaller pieces. So anyway, what I'm going to do is, as I pull slices out of my dehydrator and I find room for more room, I'm going to be filling up the spaces in between with these. I think I might be able to fit a lot of them in now. And then I'll just continue drying. And what I'm looking for is hard, so, you know, if I smack the edge of the slice on a plate, you can hear the clink. But also, I don't want any stickiness left in the pulp. It's going to feel dry to the touch. It shouldn't feel like, oh, after you handle them, you need to wash your hands. If you feel like you need to wash your hands, it's still sticky. And that can mold. I just want to tell you that you don't want to ever put them in a jar in that condition. The peel or the slices, they have to be bone dry to enable to close up a jar or a Tupperware or something to store it. Because they will mold. They will. So anyway, I'm going to just dry them as much as I can so that I'm satisfied that if they're dry to my touch, the fruit flies are not going to bug them. They're going to hopefully just go away. And then I'll have them because I have 4 whole trays. I think I have plenty for my tree, and also I'd like to maybe put some help my mantle along a little bit. And put some greens on my mantle, maybe hang some there. That'd be nice. They smell lovely. In my whole kitchen, when you walk in the door, you can smell the oranges. So anyway, just a little thing, little video, just to show you what I'm doing, preparing for Yule and preparing to welcome the light. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Rebecca, and I wish you blessings.